Well, hello again and welcome to what has got to be one of the hottest days of the year. Probably not the best time to be filming a video sat in a glass box that is a car. Anyway, the vehicle that you saw at the start of the video was a car that I'm in. It's my car. It's a very old vehicle. And I know you might be thinking with the title of this episode, why am I talking about this? Well, it's going to tie very much into the topic of this one. But first, let me tell you what inspired this video. Just yesterday, I was out eating some lunch in a food court, and this was in a busy city centre, not the city that I live in, a different one. And there was one thing that really stood out to me straight away when I was having a look at the surrounding area, because I always like to have a look round at where I am. There were so many cameras. I counted, and you got to imagine this is like a little square plot of land, let's say. And there was 13 cameras in this plot of land, a large number of cameras for such a small amount of land. And realistically, when you looked around at what it was, there was like 5 cameras on one wall. There was 360 views of the entire place by camera. Now, of course, a lot of the cameras here in the UK at least are so crap in terms of quality, you can't really even tell, well, what the video is. You can't see anything from them. And of course, on top of that, there may have even been dummy cameras that simply do not work. But even if they are, I want to speak about the message of these cameras and of a lot more things. The reason why I pointed out the fact that my car is so old to begin the video is because I read a thing online which is quite similar. It was something along the lines of, and don't quote me exactly on the rules, but it's not far off, new cars that are coming out, I think it is in Europe now, you cannot exceed the speed limit when driving it. Like, because of all the technology in it, it knows what the speed limit is and you can't exceed it in the car. Now, straight up, that sounds like a good idea, right? And the intention of all these cameras is supposedly to keep us all safe, and that makes sense. I think we can all kind of get on board with the concept of what that means, what that is, and what that looks like. It is with the intention of keeping us safe. But it also takes away, in my opinion, a lot of what the human experience is or previously has been. And I think what we really should be considering is why this is the case, right? I mean, I think we're seeing this a lot in the modern day, and I think it's something that, well, that's why I'm making a video on it. I kind of want to bring attention to it. It's something that's being sold as being good to us, good for us, and like, if you think about it sensibly, well, of course it is. How can it be a bad thing to have these cameras? But then you start to think about the consequences of that, right? It's the privacy, and in my opinion, the ability to make bad choices and mistakes that keeps us both individual and keeps us as humans, you know. And also we need to think about who is implementing this sort of stuff, right? If it's the governments, and a lot of it's being written into legislature, as it is in a lot of places, we need to ask if these people have our best interests at heart. And I was thinking in my head on the way down here, the amount of cameras that I see just as you drive in, say, through the town. You've got red light cameras, which are basically, for those that don't know, cameras at the red lights. The intention is, if you run a red light, you get done. Speed cameras, obviously CCTV cameras, and other types of cameras. You know, it's like the very number of cameras. And a massive downside of this that I see is the potential for no one to even have the opportunity to make mistakes, right? We're humans, we learn from our mistakes generally. For example, I'm a new driver. Now, generally I've not had any mistakes, I've not had any fines or problems with my driving, but even by accident, right, not even if you're doing it on purpose, it's easy, especially as a new driver, and this is just one example, to make mistakes. You can accidentally run a red light, you can accidentally go 5 miles over the speed limit. And of course, technically, you come under the same umbrella terms, right? You've broken the rules, so you're going to be getting fined and punished the same way as everybody else, which on the surface of it is right. But what I'm saying is, not just for young people, for all people, there's going to be no opportunities, or kind of there already isn't, to make mistakes at all. So of course it's being marketed in a way that's good for us, right? Because even speed cameras and red light cameras, well, you don't want people to run those lights, obviously. So there's not really an argument, or, well, there is an argument to say why it's good, but there's also an argument to say why it's bad. You know, people don't get the opportunity to even make mistakes anymore in a lot of fields. And I think also, it's interesting to note where these cameras, a lot of them, are and who they focus on. Now, the first thing that I'd say is my car, this car, the car that we're in right now, and I've made a video about this at the time, so you can watch that if you wish, but this car got robbed. Somebody basically broke into it and robbed it. And you know where this happened? On a busy city centre street. The kind of place that's full of cameras. But no one will do anything about it. So if the cameras are useless, why are they there in the first place? Or if they're not going to be used, why are they there in the first place? Well, you may say it's as a deterrent. But it doesn't work. Really. And the cameras is only just half of the problem, or are only just half of the problem. I find it funny though that whilst we need to get monitored, or do get monitored so heavily, why is it that those in charge do not? You know, you walk about in half of the streets in a UK city centre, and you can basically be tracked from when you come into the town centre to when you leave. And of course, when it comes to solving crimes or whatnot, that can be a very good thing. And I'm not going to disagree with that. Nobody is. Again, as a victim of crime, someone who had their car robbed, it's horrible. But it's not prevented by these cameras or measures. It's just recorded once it's already happened. And I think this is yet another way where we have to kind of ask, why is that? Now, generally I talk about things in business and finance, but again, all of these surveillance measures, it does interest me, and it also interests me the way that it's marketed, because subsequently people accept it and praise it as a good thing. Like I say, the example that I just gave of the cameras trying to deter people from committing crimes, that's good. But yeah, again, we're coming to a point where your phone tracks you. I mean, GPS is an obviously known thing. I bought a new iPhone the other month, and I realised on that phone it doesn't really ever turn off. Like the older iPhones obviously used to, but the new ones don't seem to turn off. They just go black, and of course that's like you can track them. So if it ever gets lost, it's a good thing. But is it a good thing overall? I mean, as terrible as this car is perceived to be, have a look at this. You are going to be seeing no technology. That is a basic radio. Now, I have a look inside these modern high-tech cars, and it's just as complicated as a computer or a phone. It's got tablets and screens in. And to make life easy, that's cool, right? That's great. But why are we giving away, unquestionably, right, so much of our data to big companies? I don't even want to make it into something about, you know, the whole government or whatever. That's just information that we're giving away to big companies, and that's an obvious fact. If you ask me, it's definitely worth questioning, and it's something that we need to think about a bit more. Now, I don't know what you guys are really going to think to this video. This is not really me sharing a beginning to end discussion, so to speak. It's more me just sharing my opinions on this fact, because it is something that I do notice now every single time that I go out and about. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Well, of course it comes with its benefits, but it's yet another one of these things where it's marketed as something that's overall good for us. But again, when it makes it easy for anybody to get in trouble for anything, you have to ask if that is a good thing, and why that is being marketed so that is the case. Anyway, I'm not sure what you're going to think, like I say, to this one. It's just my view on this topic. It's something that I've been interested in talking about for some time. I don't know if it's going to be a hot topic, a good video or not. Probably you guys are going to have mixed opinions on it. That's normally the case, but it's just my views on things at the minute, because it's one thing that, you know, you do notice now when you walk around a lot of places, a lot of cameras. And again, these new modern cars, cameras inside, GPS technology inside, and that's fine and that's good for us in a way. But especially with GPS technology, it's a great marketing tool. It tells you where people go, shows you what shops they're in, maybe how long they're in that shop for, and stuff like that. So is that good? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. I'd like you guys to hopefully fill the gaps in down in the comments, but let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.